Dodgers baseball on Sportsnet LA is brought to you by Jack in the Box. Try the $4.99 Jack's Spicy Chicken Club combo with toasted sourdough, new from Jack in the Box. The Dodgers trying to open the second half with a series win against the Milwaukee Brewers, beating the Brewers 6-4 on Friday night and falling last night 4-2. Joe Davis, Nomar Garciaparra, Alana Rizzo, and these Dodgers coming to the plate. Here's Dave Roberts' lineup. Chris Taylor to lead it off, then Machado. Justin Turner is back in there for the first time in the second half with Muncy at first base today. Cody Bellinger getting the day off. Kemp bats fifth and right. Hernandez in center. Logan Forsythe is the second baseman, and Austin Barnes makes his second start of the weekend doing the catching. They face off with a very unique guy. Brent Suter went to Harvard, was a late round draft pick, beat the odds by making the majors, and you've got a guy here, Nomar, that throws 87. That's the softest fastball in the National League, but he induces the softest contact of anybody in the National League.
What he relies on is deception, and he has that in his windup, and he kind of throws across his body, and he's lanky. He relies on movement, and if you got a guy who throws fastball that it's 87 and he throws it 70% of the time, you're thinking it has a sinking action. No, it has cutting action, so there's movement there, and then he relies on the command. And for him, it's not down in the strike zone that he needs the command. It's actually up in the strike zone where he's more effective.
Off we go with strike one to Chris Taylor. The Dodgers 54-44. They've got a one-game lead. Not on the Diamondbacks, but on the Colorado Rockies, who won a 7th in a row last night. 7th in a row and 15th out of their last 18 to move a spot ahead of the Diamondbacks in the division. Suter fires. Taylor grounds one to third. Travis Shaw for the first out in an awkward collision over there between Braun, who is new to the position, and Taylor. What was that?
Well, that ball kind of, when Braun caught that, he kind of caught it up the first base line. I don't know if the ball really took to him, or that's where you see where his foot was. Braun, he knew it. His left foot was actually on that line when he caught that. So he knew it was coming. And then as Chris Taylor's coming, you see him there. He didn't know whether Braun was going to step behind the bag, so he kind of moved into it, and Braun ended up stepping forward into the field. So that's why they had that collision.
It's like when you're walking down the sidewalk or through the grocery store.
Which way are you going, left or right?
Left, both go right. Oh, gosh.
That was it.
So awkward. Here's Machado. Strike one on Manny. Extended his on-base streak last night to 21 games. Hitting .378 in that span back to June. Muscles one over first. That's down for a base hit. And extends the on-base streak to 22 games, becoming the first Dodger base runner of the afternoon. Brings up Justin Turner. He's the subject of our Land Rover Performance Spotlight, making his first start in 11 days, and he was really starting to swing it better prior to going on the DL, or not on the DL, but getting shut down.
And we see his batting average, see those numbers. There's numbers that really stuck out to me is what the Dodgers have done since his return. The 38 and 20. Really think we talked about it before. May 17th, really that turning point for the Dodgers when they really took off in this season. Well, it was May 15th, 2 days before that Justin Turner comes off the DL, and I don't think there's any coincidence that the Dodgers started playing better since he came off the DL.
That was for the broken wrist. The recent injury, the adductor, which is below the groin. And for Turner, the moment where everybody saw him get injured was his pinch hit at bat on a Thursday night in San Diego. But the injury actually occurred the night before. In his final at bat, he felt just a little twinge on a check swing. I didn't think much of it. He looks at strike two. In fact, it felt fine the next day. But in that pinch hit at bat, felt it again running down to first. And that's still the thing that bothers him is the check swings.
And you see Justin Turner, what he's, the pitch before he didn't like, he thought it was on the outer half. And when we looked at the strike zone, it looked like it was on the outer half. And then he talked to the umpire, and then all of a sudden that ball in the inner half, he gets called a strike, which, you know, as you see on a strike, it looked like it was a strike. Well, in your head, you're going, you can't give them both sides. You're like, if you're going to go away, okay, I'll accept it. But now you can't give him that much on the inner half either. And that's what he was complaining about. And it was in his head, and you end up swinging at a ball out of the zone. Here, we're going to go back. Here's the very first one. This one, Pitchcast has that outside, and he gets the call strike. And he's like, what? Okay. All right, first at bat. You're going to give him away. Maybe let me creep up on the plate. Let me just understand that. And then it comes in, and you get the call. That's when you're frustrated as a hitter.
First strikeout of the game for Suter. And with 2 out, it's Muncy, who is happy that it's Sunday and no longer last night. One for him to forget. 2-error game. 0 for 4 at the plate with a couple of strikeouts in an otherwise sparkling season.
We've all had those games. It's just one of those games that happen, and you turn the page. You feel awful about it. You know your mistakes cost the team some runs, and then you hope that when you do have those mistakes that maybe you have a good day in offense to make up for those mistakes that cost runs, and then you don't have that. It's just one of those, you're like, let's get out there tomorrow.
1-1. It's the hard thing and the beautiful thing about baseball, right? That there's always a game the next day.
And that's where all those starting pitchers always say, well, I have to wait now 4 days, 5 days, so I go get my next start.
Breaking ball is skied to right. Broxton back towards the corner. He has enough room. Almost overran it. That thing hung in the air forever, but ultimately Broxton makes the catch and finishes the Dodgers off in the first. This afternoon, glad you're with us. Here's the starting lineup for Craig Counsell. Instead of Lorenzo Cain, it'll be Keon Broxton to lead it off. Cain bats third behind Yelich. It's Braun, Shaw, and Saladino in the middle of the order, with Perez at second and Pena doing the catching. Against Alex Wood, last 6 games, he's 4-0 with a 2.95 ERA.
Right, early in the season, he actually looked pretty good at the earlier season, but he wasn't getting the wins because he wasn't getting much run support. And then after that, he started struggling, and then it seemed like he picked up right where he took off the earlier of the season. His last 6 starts, hopefully have the command down in the zone, get a lot of ground balls, and swing and miss breaking pitches.
Starts Broxton with a strike. It's the first time in several weeks that Alex Wood has faced somebody other than the Angels. At back-to-back starts against Anaheim, and gave up 3 runs over 6 innings in both of those starts. Most recently last Saturday at Dodger Stadium. Wood to Broxton, 1-1, and a pop fly down the right field line. That'll become a souvenir. Starting pitching has in a lot of ways carried the Dodgers in recent weeks when the offense hasn't been as good as it was in June. Haven't been hitting for the same kind of power. But as Clayton Kershaw showed last night, Rich Hill the night before, starting pitching's been big. It's 2-2. There's Kershaw's final line. 4 runs, but 3 were unearned. The 3 errors the Dodgers committed. And it is no coincidence, Nomar, that they've committed 3 errors 5 times this year and have lost all 5 of those games.
Yeah, you know, Max Muncy had a tough day yesterday. Talked to the media afterwards, homed up to it. Said, yeah, I had a tough one, cost us. We were talking about when he came up, you turn the page, you go out there. But I also like the way Dave Roberts handles it too, throwing him out there. Also letting, especially in this team when we know there's so much versatility and we know there's so many guys that could be starting and are on the bench and so many moving parts.
Here's a 3-2 and another one coming.
Very similar to what we've even seen Dave Roberts do and other managers do. Say with your closer, if your closer has a blown save, they can't wait to get your closer right back out there, and hopefully the next game there's an opportunity that you go close a game. Same thing with a position player. You have a rough day, say, listen, I have faith in you. I haven't given up. Right back out there.
Broxton earns the walk to open the day against Wood. Brings up Christian Yelich, one of the hottest hitters in the National League in this series. He's 5 for 9. He's got a home run. He's got 2 doubles and a triple. And as Alana told you during the pregame show, he has been very good against Alex Wood over the course of his career.
Sweet swinging Christian Yelich going into this series right before the All-Star break.
And stays hot. With a shot to center, 2 on, nobody out.
As I was saying, going in right before the All-Star break, right before the series, the All-Star break, he was batting .500 over his last 5 games. Over the course of the season, coming into this series, batting over .460 on the first pitch of the at-bat. He continues to hit the home run of Clayton Kershaw on the first pitch. Here he is in this final game of this series. Starting off with a base hit, first pitch, driving it back up the middle.
And bringing up Kane. He's been the leadoff hitter for much of the season, but today hits 3rd. He goes after the first pitch as well. And it's 0-1. These are the situations the Brewers have struggled in. You know, they won yesterday 4-2 because of the bad defense, not because they were good with runners in scoring position. In fact, they went 0 for 10 with men in scoring position yesterday. 2 on, nobody out. Lorenzo Cain takes ball 1.
For Wood, a lot of the damage over the course of the year has come off really early in the games. I mean, the first 2 innings, he's had an ERA over 5. And then after that, ERA drops down to around 3, so he seems to settle down. The key is to get out of this, and he has the pitches to get out of this one.
Cain with a chopper past the diving Machado. Broxton had to hold to make sure it got through. Station to station, bases loaded.
That's what I was saying. He has the pitches to get out of this because we know he can induce a lot of ground balls. And right there, he got the ground ball, just not where he needed it. That was able to find the hole just out of the reach of Machado. But on the positive side, the ball was down. Positive side is stay down there. It's reminding him, okay, bases loaded, but understand your strength down in the zone to possibly get that ground ball and double play. This is one really in the game at this point. You have nobody out, you got bases loaded. Even if you give up 1 run, that's fine. That's like a victory. So if you can get that double play up the middle, give up one run and still get out of this inning without, you're sitting pretty because you know your team has to go out there and score runs anyway.
Just asked Chase Anderson yesterday, the Brewers starting pitcher, who was able to limit it to 2 in the first. That was all the Dodgers got. Strike 1 on Ryan Braun. Broxton at third, Yelich at second, and Kane at first. And now Braun in his second game off of the disabled list. He'd been out since the first week of July with a sore back. He had a double in his return last night. And on an 0-1, he takes outside. Line to short, caught by Machado, throw to second late. But a big first out for Alex Wood.
I think Machado might have surprised Logan Forsythe a little bit on this throw. As Logan Forsythe catches ball, there was a slight chance he might get it, but I think Logan was thinking, okay, he got back, not going to throw it. He has that good arm and just kind of flings it over there. He can whip it over there.
A good arm from that distance got to be a little scary for the second baseman.
Well, and also it's not like Logan's had a lot of time to play with Machado, and he knows what it looks like coming from him.
Strike 1 on Travis Shaw.
One thing is just take ground balls maybe during batting practice and see it, and it's really only been 2 days because they didn't take BP today out there on the field. Another thing is to see it as it's happening live in the game.
And as far as game action, Forsythe started Friday night, but it was Hernandez at second yesterday. 1-1 on Shaw. Bases loaded here in the first. Shaw not a great runner. And as Nomar has detailed, Wood a good ground ball pitcher. Could be one pitch from getting out of this inning with no damage. We talk about Wood turning his season around lately. The biggest reason for that has been his ability to get out of jams. That's through, base hit. Not this time. Broxton into score. Kemp's throw to the plate cut off by Muncy. Yelich into score as well. And the Brewers lead 2-0 in the first.
See where Austin Barnes wants that pitch. He wants it down in the way, and it was a good spot. It just wasn't down far enough. But he threw that breaking ball down and away. We saw that in pitch cast where it was going down in the corner. Shaw did a good job staying on it. Did a good job staying on it, squaring it up and driving it to right field, finding the hole.
So 2-0 as Tyler Saladino stands in. First and second, one out, and takes one back door for a strike. Saladino 370 in his last 7 games, dating back to the end of the first half. Oh, 1. In the dirt. Nice stop by Barnes. Now the Brewers have been very home run reliant. Number 2 in the league in homers. Second worst in the league with runners in scoring position. You mentioned the issues they had last night in those situations. So a sight for sore eyes around here. What they're doing in this first inning today. Wood falls behind 2-1.
Right, 0 for 10 runners in scoring position. Dodgers out hit the Brewers yesterday. They had 10 hits. The Brewers 7 hits. The Dodgers lose 4-2. Big. You look at the scoreboard. The big number was those 3 in that air column that cost them.
Changeup misses. Ball 3. Hernan Perez on deck. Already 22 pitches for Wood. Still just 1 out. A 3-1 that catches the corner, and it's 3-2. Brewers have been a very aggressive base running team this year. Saladino doesn't strike out a ton. Let's see if Craig Counsell puts him in motion. They don't go. And he takes ball 4 to load the bases. Rick Honeycutt out for an early visit.
Good, just to remind them to settle down. Really tell them how they want to pitch Perez. Give him a breather. All the infielders know where they're playing, what the signs are.
So it's Perez with the bases loaded. Travis Shaw delivering in this first inning for Milwaukee with a 2-run single, and the Brewers reminded by last night that well served to search for more. Strike 1 as Wood finally executes that pitch to the back foot. Grounded back to Wood. He'll come home for the first out. Barnes to first, a double play. And the Brewers do settle for 2 against Wood. We're off and rolling in Milwaukee. To the second we go.
MLB All-Star Week for the Dodgers. It started with the fun performance from a breakout star and ended with the news of a blockbuster trade. Don't miss Backstage Dodgers presented by Cadillac Friday after the postgame show on Sportsnet LA.
Dodgers in a 2-0 hole after an inning. And Matt Kemp will lead things off here in the second against Brent Suter. Strike one at 86 miles an hour. So he's got the slowest fastball in the National League. But as the second pitch comes home, you see that he's the fastest worker in the National League. Quickly ahead of Kemp 0-2.
Well, when you're throwing over 70% fastball, it's not like you have to wait for a whole lot of signs.
Good point.
Reminds me of Mark Burley. Burley used to do the same thing. Get that ball right back out there, and he's ready to throw.
And you love that as fielders.
Playing behind that's great. As a hitter, you know, it's funny. It didn't bother me. You know, even though I was with my batting gloves, and people were like, you must drive you crazy. I'm like, no, I was so quick at what I did actually in the batter's box, and I didn't have a set number of tapping. I was ready to go. He was going to go out there and he was going to pound the strike zone. And I always said, I'm the epitome of the speed up rule because I swung at the first pitch and got the game going. Let's go.
Rob Manfred's dream. Omar Garciaparra.
Even though people blame me.
Kemp turns on one. High drive left center. Forget about it. A majestic shot way up there to get the Dodgers on the board. To a part of the park not often explored. Number 16 of the season for Kemp, and it's 2-1.
Well, Kemp does a great job getting the ball at the top of the zone. Not easy. We talked about Suter's effectiveness. It's at the top of the zone. That's where he wants the pitch. He gets the ball there. But Matt Kemp able to get the barrel to it. Suter's given up quite a few home runs this year. And a lot of times it's actually in the bottom of the zone rather than the top of the zone. Matt Kemp changing that around. Does an excellent job getting to that ball.
Already 1-1 on Kike Hernandez. Suter's next one misses away. Boy, how things shifted quickly. Brewers had a 2-0 lead. Bases loaded, nobody out, or one out. And then the double play ball, and then the home run. Just like that, it's 2-1. And Hernandez ahead, 3 balls, 1 strike. Popped into short right. Braun is out. Broxton is on. That falls. That was not pretty. The guy playing first base only the 12th time this season. I think wishing that Broxton had taken charge on that one.
That one's, yeah, you want your right fielder to call you off. But Braun really didn't have that far to go. That's one that even as an infielder, you're saying, I still should have that ball. So even though you want your outfielder to come in, I mean, that was still kind of a long run for Broxton. So I still think that's more Braun's ball. He just missed it.
Ruled a hit. And here's Forsythe. 1 ball, no strikes. Dave Roberts trying to give Logan Forsythe ample opportunities to get going. And with 2 left-handed starting pitchers this weekend, he gets 2 starts.
You see that big hole on the right side. I mean, we've seen that in baseball. You have the shifts where they're playing, where guys are hitting the ball majority. But when you have a guy like Logan Forsythe, this is one where he's probably telling himself, I got a hole over there and I am really struggling right now.
Muscles run into center for a base hit. Just hit it over the shift.
But there are times where you tell yourself as a hitter, like, when I'm struggling, they're giving me a hole. And sometimes that also helps you going, well, let me just try to stay inside the ball. I'm pulling off. I'm swinging, missing. Maybe I can stay on it. But as long as I think that way, maybe good things will happen. Ends up fighting that one off and getting a base hit.
And a mound visit here in front of Austin Barnes at bat. Chat with a 28-year-old from Cincinnati, Brent Suter. who figured that there was like a 50-50 chance that he'd get drafted. He was going through his career at Harvard. During his senior year there, he was doing what most people do, and that is apply for jobs, take some interviews. And then once he got drafted in the 31st round, he said, you know, he was just thrilled that he had gotten drafted. He knew at that point the odds still very stacked against him. Didn't think the majors were that likely for him. But he said, you know, I can always say that, hey, I got drafted. I was a pro for a while. Well, then things start to go pretty well for him in the minors. And sure enough, after 4 years of steadily climbing up the ladder, made his major league debut in 2016. And now in his 3rd year with time in the majors. Unlikely rise. 2 on, nobody out, and a 2-1 game in the 2nd, and Barnes turns his shoulder on ball 1. Can say the same thing for Barnes that you said about Logan Forsythe. And Dave Roberts trying to give him chances to get going. And
they're playing him very similar to the way they're playing Forsythe. You got the second baseman close to second.
That is close. Forsythe in there.
Try to catch him by surprise, get a back pick. Good job by Forsythe to get back. I'm sure it was, you had George Lombard over there screaming at him, letting him know he's coming behind him. There it is. That's a lot of the manager, because you saw Logan, you see his head turn. He's looking at Kike over there at second. See if he goes, he's going.
2-0. That's a strike. 2-1. Barnes ahead. 3 balls, 1 strike.
We were just talking about Austin Martin. We were talking about Logan Forsythe. Well, you know how they're playing Austin. This is the spray chart for Austin Barnes, so you can see the majority of where he's hitting the ball, and that's where they're playing. Still 70% over there, so he can go. And actually, when his strength, when he's swinging right, he does stay inside the ball and goes that way.
Saw that consistently last year. Watch his strike 2.
And that's and actually that pitch right there is a perfect example. If he recognizes that's his strength, that's the pitch you actually can swing at, because it's on the outer half that you stay on to drive it that way.
Tried first, now tries second. Hernandez at second with the gift hit on the misplay by Ryan Braun. Forsythe at first after his line drive single. Now Barnes swings through 1, strike 3.
He ends up just climbing the ladder. We talked about the effectiveness at the top of the zone. Cedar gets weak contact and gets swings and misses on that cutter. Well, it's his fastball that has a natural cutting action. So I don't know if he's particularly trying to throw the cutter. That's just his natural movement on his pitch.
He would call it his 4-seam. Wood squares around and bunts it sharply towards third. Travis Shaw throws him out. Well done by Alex Wood to move 2 runners into scoring position and get it back to the top of the order.
Great bunt by Alex Wood there to move him over. I'm thinking about that strikeout by Austin Barnes. When I look at yesterday's game, we were talking about some of the sloppiness of that game. And yeah, we're talking about the errors. We know Muncy had a tough day, but it was also on the offensive side. There were some key strikeouts and big moments that the Dodgers had yesterday. I'm thinking about a strikeout in that very first inning. They only got 2 runs, setting 8 runners to the plate. I mean, 8 batters to the plate. And then when Matt Kemp ended up coming, they had bases loaded, nobody out. Kershaw gets tossed off on a pass ball at home plate, gets tossed out at home, and then Matt Kemp strikes out at that moment. It felt like it was just a double play. They were out of that inning before they knew it. So there were some big strikeouts, and sometimes you're just looking to put the ball in playing pressure somehow. And we'll see if that one from Austin Barnes is going to be one of those moments.
Second and third, 2 out. Chris Taylor swings through the first one from Suter. You saw a moment ago that even though they've not hit for the same power this month, last night notwithstanding, they've been good in these situations in July. Runners in scoring position as a team, hitting above 300 in July. 0-1. Ball 1. Taylor drove in the 2 Dodger runs yesterday with his first inning single. On this 1-1, he swings and misses. 79 miles per hour from Suter to get ahead 1-2. Foul back. A 1-2. Taylor loops one left center that'll fall in for a base hit and give the Dodgers the lead. A 2-out, 2-run single from Chris Taylor, and they waste no time jumping in front.
Well, Chris Taylor did that yesterday in that very first inning that we were talking about. The Dodgers getting the bases loaded, getting guys on base. He comes up. There were 2 outs. He's able to get a single, drives in 2, comes up with another clutch hit.
That's the time where the barrels are overrated sign is very warranted. Has muscled it out there to put the Dodgers in front for the first time and get Machado to the plate with 2 out. He fouls off the first one.
Well, I can see how the barrels get overrated an awful lot with Suter on the hill. I mean, when you have a natural cut, I mean, you see that with Kemp. We see as Dodger fans see it a lot with Kenley Jansen because of his cutter. Not only does he get swings and misses, and granted, Kenley throws harder than Suter, but that same movement on the pitch. So you're going to get either swings and misses, or you're going to miss the barrel, because that's what the premise of the cutter. A cutter isn't just for, is not necessarily for a swing and miss. It was a pitch to miss the barrel, to get soft contact.
That's not soft. That is ripped into the gap in left center. Extra bases for Machado. Taylor's headed for the plate. He will score without a throw on a ringing double from Manny Machado to make it 4-2. First extra base hit is a Dodger for Machado, and he's 2 for 2 already today.
First extra base hit, first RBI as a Dodger. Driving in CT from first base, staying on that cutter. The key to a cutter, too, a lefty, if you're a right-handed batter and you're facing that ball that cuts in on you, is to really be conscious of getting the barrel out in front and to that ball. And he was able to do that. That'll change the numbers on the exit velocity.
Yeah, you saw his 102.5.
102, yeah.
And his average is 84. The average against Suter, that is.
Yeah, because I know it was a really high exit velocity on that Matt Kemp home run.
That
went
too.
a long way.
It's 2-0 on Justin Turner.
High velocity, high distance.
Yeah, Kemp's homer was 106 miles per hour off of the bat. To start this inning, Justin Turner's the 8th man to come up, and on a 2-0, he cues one foul, 2-1. As we've talked plenty about, it was the Dodgers defense that opened the door for the Brewers last night. The script kind of flipping in this game so far. That Ryan Braun's poor defense has opened the door for a bigger inning here. Broke Turner's bat. He's got a new one. Three and one. Turner with a bullet to left. That is down for a hit and rolls its way to the wall. Machado and Turner back-to-back doubles, and a 5 spot for the Dodgers to answer in the second.
Turner did the same thing. I mean, this is excellent, especially after, remember his last at bat where he wasn't too happy with the strikes and some of the calls that were made on him. And this one, same pitch on the inner half. Talk about the key is to get that barrel really out in front to try to catch that break of the ball that's coming in on you as a righty off a left-handed. Saw that Machado do that. And then Turner, as far as that was in, a lot of times too, when you're trying to get that and you're consciously trying to get that barrel in front, you have a tendency to pull that ball foul. But him to keep it fair, it's a good job.
Muncy, 9th man to bat in this inning, takes strike one. His first time up, he hit one way up, almost to the roof here. He was caught right in front of the wall by Broxton and Wright. Oh, and 2. Got him swinging. And that does it for the Dodgers in the second. But they score 5 times, and it all begins with Matt Kemp's 16th home run of the year. A no-doubt shot. The Dodgers to the bottom of the second with a 5-2 lead. Now Alex Wood with a much different tone to this outing than when he left the mound after the first. Manny Pena, 8-hitter, catcher for the Brewers, chops one left side. Justin Turner for the first out.
Well, fans, you can manage your dream team in franchise mode. Plus, you can get weekly stats, roster updates, and more. RBI Baseball 18 is available now. Learn more at RBIGame.com. Rated E for everyone.
Well, this thing turned around in a big way on a dime, didn't it? Brewers had a 2-0 lead. Suter pulls one on a bounce to Forsythe, knocks it down, can't pick it up in time. Suter's aboard with one out, but I mean, it was 2-0 Brewers, bases loaded, still just one out. Looked like it could really get out of hand in that first inning. Wood gets the double play ground out, 1-2-3, and the Dodgers get him 5 runs right after that.
Yes, we look at that play for Logan Forsythe, but you're absolutely right. It was very similar to yesterday where the Dodgers had that against Milwaukee Brewers. They had Chase Anderson on the ropes, only managed 2 runs. And then what did the Brewers do? They also capitalized on the Dodger mistakes. Well, the Dodgers did that last inning. Got that home run for Matt Kemp, but afterward, Kike Hernandez went down as a single, but it was a ball that should have been caught out there by first baseman Ryan Braun, but it falls, and then it ends up, you know, things started after that. Kike gets a base hit then you got Logan Forsythe, you got a sac bunt, and hits after hits, so I think that was huge.
Threw an error on Forsythe, by the way. Keon Broxton off the end of the bat to right. Matt Kemp makes a running catch. 2 gone here in the second.
It's really important for Alex Wood. After you have such a long inning like you had in the first inning, and then you get out of it, and then your team comes back and picks you up and puts 5 runs. It's have a quick inning, get them back in the dugout, build your confidence, settle down.
Christian Yelich singled on the first pitch that he saw his first time up there. Here he takes ball 1. An all-star for the first time in his first year in Milwaukee, and for good reason. Average above 300 now. Cuts and misses, 1-1. The Brewers are not a good curveball hitting team, not a good breaking ball hitting team, period. They've swung at every breaking ball that Alex Wood has thrown. Stays that way.
I might have been watching Major League before the game.
That was the hitters meeting.
Serrano.
Gets a piece to stay alive. Another 1-2. Yelich takes this one, 2-2. Well, Barnes and Wood both wanted it. Home plate umpire Sean Barber says no, and the count goes full.
Pitch guess has that low. Well, a really good pitch. You can see the way both those guys moved. One thing is you see the pitch cast, and sometimes you're like, all right, you have that, and that's almost, it's a guide. It tells you just generally where it is. So even though it just shows that it's off the plate, that doesn't mean it necessarily it's completely off the plate. There is a margin for error in that one. But by the way Austin moved and the way Alex Wood moved, they thought, yeah, that's for sure strike. Let's take it in.
8th pitch to Christian Yelich, and he fouls it off himself again. Feeling some pain the last couple pitches.
Yep, you can wear shin guard, but it'll miss it. It'll find a way. Doesn't matter.
Works every time. Another payoff and another foul. Southern California guy, Westlake High School. One of 3 brothers. Oldest of 3. The younger brother Colin, who spent some time in the minors as a catcher and has gone back to school to become a personal trainer, and has another brother, Cameron, who's a U.S. Marine. Christian says if he wasn't playing baseball, he would likely be in some line of the military. A little cue shot along third. Turner hopes that it rolls foul, but at this point, Christian Yelich can do no wrong.
Well, that's all Turner could do on that ball. Off the end of the bat. Hit there hard. Yelich getting down the line. This is one where you're charging too. You're going, look, if it's even that do or die situation, it's not even worth risking it, because if you happen to maybe throw that away, you have a guy who can go, who's already going to second. If you throw it away up the right field line, so your only hope is it goes foul.
So Kane gets an opportunity here in the second. Barnes setting the target inside. Wood missing low. It's 1-0. Kane at a single in the first inning. It's one of 4 hits for the Brewers already. Back-to-back All-Stars in the Brewers order here with Yelich and Kane. Kane, a guy that has continued to evolve throughout his career. We talked about last night, still somewhat new to the game. Didn't play until he was in high school. Continually adding pieces to what he does. Looks like it crosses Barnes up, and it's 3-0.
Yeah, it did. I don't know how Austin still managed to catch that ball. That looked like it really crossed him up. I don't know if it fooled home plate umpire, because it didn't look like a bad pitch either.
That caught the corner, and it's 3-1. Now, the latest addition to the toolbox for Lorenzo Cain has been the plate discipline and the patience. On base percentage by far the best of his career, and hitting leadoff much of the year, and say that he's really embraced that role and that responsibility, trying to set the tone for the order. Here he check swings at foul, and the count goes full. One of the biggest year-to-year improvements in chase rate, which is just the percentage of pitches out of the zone that you go after versus lay off. One of the biggest year-to-year improvements for any player in the last decade. Runners who get a head start with his 3-2, and Kane just barely gets one of the laces to stay alive.
That was an excellent pitch by Alex Wood there. Kane does his part by fouling it off.
There they go again. Here it comes. Ball 4. Wood's third walk. Similar spot to the one that he and Barnes wanted earlier, and the same call from Barber.
Yeah, and for Alex Wood, the key to his success is getting that call too. He's able to get that low strike zone. We already talked about at the beginning of the game. His effectiveness is down in the zone. So if he feels like he's not getting that call, and then he's starting to raise his sights and trying to get it higher in the zone, well, that plays right into the hitter's attack on Alex Wood, which is get him up in the zone, because down in the zone, a lot of movement, and he's effective. You hit the ball on the ground, you try to get him up.
Ryan Braun takes a first pitch strike. 2 innings and 2 at-bats with the bases loaded for Braun. You dream up as a cleanup guy. First time he lined out to Machado at short. This time he's got Suter at third, Yelich at second, and Kane at first. On an 0-1. Braun takes ball 1. That's to short. Machado's got it on a short hop. Across in time. Manny Machado with a fabulous play to finish the Brewers off here in the second and keep it 5-2. Kemp ready to lead this inning off, and we look at StatCast AI powered by AWS. His last at bat launched one 422 feet.
And a by Val was hitting a long way. So what was so impressive was that was him able to get to the barrel at the ball at the top of the zone.
It was his 16th of the year. At that point, it made it 2-1 Milwaukee. The Dodgers would then follow with 4 2-out runs against Brent Suter, who comes home with his first pitch of the third, and it's a strike. That curls in for a strike. A rare breaking pitch from Suter. 0-2. One and two. And Kemp fouls it off. Been fun for Matt Kemp to have his buddy Manny Machado as a teammate now. Their lockers right next to each other's. They became friends 2 off seasons ago, hitting together in Miami. That ball smashed to right center. Lorenzo Cain turns, and Matt Kemp has gone deep for the second time today. That is big time strength to the opposite field, and the Dodgers lead at 6-2.
That's not only big time strength, that's big time adjustments. It was impressive, especially after being disappointed on the strike down in the zone, upset at that, fouling off a tough curveball after that, staying alive.
Hernandez now pops it up. Braun's out of room.
Then being able, so you got balls down in the zone, your curveball, they threw about 3 curveballs to you in a row. You're going, are they going to climb the ladder? You know he likes to throw the ball up. Instead, he goes away. He doesn't pull off. He stays on it. Understands his strength, both as a hitter and his physical strength. That was hit a long way. We saw his first home run, and we were like, wow. I think that one was more impressive. Just to right center.
On 1-2, Hernandez slaps a bouncer back to Suter. Will underhand it to Braun for the first out. And Kemp will tell you that because he's just so naturally strong, he's going to hit home runs to the pull field. But when he really knows he's locked in is when he's driving balls like that to right center.
When he got called up, and I remember playing with him, being his teammate, we said we would marvel at his power to the opposite field. We would tell him that is your stay right there, because you pulling it, you don't look to pull, you react. If you think about driving it, staying inside the ball, you're going to be more consistent, but you have the power to drive it to the opposite way. Don't try to increase your power by pulling it. That's just going to happen. And we've seen that all year long. That's the way his approach has been, staying inside, knowing that he can drive the ball to all fields, not looking to pull every single one.
Forsythe with a jam shot, caught at second by Perez. 2 out. Up comes Barnes with the Dodgers in front 6-2 here in the third. Barnes struck out his first time. Behind 0-1 here. First multi-home run game of the year for Kemp, but he's done it now 13 times in his major league career. Barnes bunts it, Easy plays Suter. Side retired. Second inning in a row. Matt Kemp opens it with a solo home run. He's put the Dodgers in front 6-2 and gotten a warm welcome back in that dugout.
Bottom of the third inning, Dodgers with a 6-2 lead. Originally, we were hoping to interview Cody Bellinger here, getting the start off. But Cody Bellinger, guys, is now in the game at first base. Max Muncy moves from first over to third. Justin Turner, getting his first start since July 11th, has been removed from the game. I'll certainly update you when we have more information on JT.
All right, Alana, appreciate the update. As Travis Shaw leads off the third against Alex Wood. Grounds the first pitch to Logan Forsythe for the first out. And Turner talked about it, that it was one of those things where what was bothering him recently with the adductor, it was hard to simulate and test. It's mostly on check swings, and it's hard to really simulate what a game speed check swing is going to be like. And a lot of the things that happen in a game, you can't simulate it. You just got to get in the game and do it to see how you're feeling.
Yeah, and the one thing about the groin, it is such a tough area when you have some sort of strain there, because there are times where you're just doing things, going through your baseball movements, and you don't really feel it. You're like, okay, it's getting better, and then all of a sudden it could be one extra gear maybe you're getting, or one just quick reaction, or such as maybe a check swing, something little like that. That's when it really grabs and you feel it. And let's not forget, last inning, Justin Turner hit a double, RBI double, had a great swing, put a great swing on it. Could it have been when he was running there? Could it have been maybe when that ball off Christian Yelich off the end of the bat, and all of a sudden you see the ball and you're waiting for a ground ball, then you just have to react, just the instinct of, oh, I got to charge that. Any of those moments it can grab. That's what I'm saying. It's just one of those that are so fickle, you just don't know when it could possibly happen.
Tyler Saladino takes one on the inside corner, 2-2. Yeah, and action in that Milwaukee bullpen. This is after last inning. Brent Suter coming off holding his pitching arm. It's foul.
That's not a good sign. That's never a good sign for a pitcher to come out and grab his arm that way. And looking at that last inning, I mean, wasn't like it was a collision where he fielded the bunt of Austin Barnes.
Saladino strikes out. First K of the day for Wood. 2 up and 2 down in the third. Hernan Perez comes up. I'm just trying to think back for for Suter. Hernandez hit the comebacker for the first out of the inning. Wasn't anything there that. And then you're mentioning the bunt for Barnes. This finishes the inning. And it looks like right there. Oh. 0-1. Pitching injuries, really injuries everywhere, have been part of the Brewers' story this year. It's amazing they sit where they do at 12 games above 500 when you look at the list of injuries. Max Muncy, who was moved across the diamond with Turner leaving the game. The ball finds him and then finds left field.
Easier said than done when you have a day like he had yesterday and you make some mistakes over there at third base and then the ball finds you and then you make another one. You know, you moved over to first. You're like, okay, it's a new position. I can turn the page. This is different. This is where first base is where he's more comfortable at. And then you get that ball right at you and then you mess up. You're just like, oh, really? You fight with yourself not to let it snowball out of control because they're going to keep coming to you. The way baseball works out, the balls are going to keep finding you.
8-hitter Manny Pena. 6-3 lead, 6-2 lead for the Dodgers in the third. As Pena takes ball one. Now the two errors that Muncy committed last night were with Clayton Kershaw on the mound. You never want to disappoint your pitcher, especially when it's your ace. Kershaw, as soon as he came out of the game, though, went over to Muncy and provided some encouragement. Had to mean a ton for a guy who was feeling as down as he could. Part of the reason was the guy that he had let down.
It's huge when your starting pitcher does that. Comes over it because you feel awful. You just feel isolated on an island. And even your fellow infielders can say, hey, good job. I mean, not jump, shake it off. You're okay. But then when it's your pitcher, because that's who you feel like you let. Not only you feel you let your team down, but you let your starting pitcher down. Then when they come over and say something, it does mean a lot.
They said earlier Max was happy that Saturday became Sunday. I think he's ready for Milwaukee to become Philadelphia. Dodgers ahead there when this one finishes. Open a series tomorrow. Hunter takes off as Pena hits a fly ball to right. Matt Kemp's got it. And that's that for the Brewers in the third. The Dodgers 6, the Brewers 2. Southern California BMW Centers. Hurry in today for the BMW Summer On Sales event for exceptional offers. Details at SoCalBMW.com. And by Carl's Jr., the tempting El Diablo Thick Burger has returned to Carl's Jr. Pick it up before it's gone. Back in Milwaukee, new pitcher in the game for the Brewers. Who's in, who's out, brought to you by In and Out. You'd hate to see Suter leaving the way that he did, holding that pitching arm. But he hands it off to Taylor Williams, who is the losing pitcher in Game 1 of this series.
Yeah, in Game 1 of the series, the Dodgers managed to get 5 straight base hits off of Taylor Williams. You know, prior to that, he's having a pretty decent season. 44 strikeouts in just 38 innings in the 3rd pitch this year.
9-1-2 for the Dodgers. He's one of many young contributors to this staff that they're excited about moving forward. He celebrated his 27th birthday yesterday. Wood bunts it back to him. Williams has the first out on his first pitch. So to the top of the order with Chris Taylor, who's driven in 2 with a base hit. And how about the top third of the order with Manny Machado inserted into the 2 spot this weekend? The spots have changed 1 and 3. Machado's been the same, hitting 2nd. As a group, they're hitting above 500.
Swinging the bats well. That's what you want at the top of your order. Guys getting on base, setting the table. CT3 coming in already in the series was 3 for 9 with 3 RBIs in the first 2 games. Added a couple more RBIs. That's 2nd.
Strike 1. And it's easy to talk about adding Manny Machado and what he does wherever you plug him in the order. But you hope that it means good things for the guys around wherever you plug him too. And so far it sure has. One on one. I know you've talked about how your life totally changed based on who was hitting behind you or in front of you, particular seasons.
Yeah, a lot of times, you know, when I have a decent season and look at my numbers, is people are going, well, wow, what's changed? And I said, well, lineups change. Not always just you. And listen, you do change from year to year, but your lineup, people hitting around you, can affect those numbers all the time. So even the success, I was always grateful for my teammates and the players I had around me. Different spots in the lineup change too, where you hit more at bats in some areas than others. Your role as well on that particular team, what you're supposed to be doing, whether it's just a matter of getting on base or driving in runs.
2-2. Got him. 2 out. Our Coors Light refreshing finish. Manny Machado's been up there twice today. He's got a single in the first. And he's got a well-struck RBI double. His first extra base hit. His first RBI as a Dodger.
Talk about adjustments. We were able to see that right there. He had the lefty throwing that cutter on the inside of a righty. His first at bat, he fights it off, gets jammed. And then you adjust, say, okay, I'm not getting jammed my next at bat. I'm going to get the barrel out there. And he didn't get jammed. He squared that up, hit it in the gap.
Eventually came in to score his first run as a Dodger. Checked off a bunch of boxes that last time up. 1 ball and no strikes.
Next box he might be checking is his home run as a Dodger. The way he looks just really calm and comfortable at the plate right now, seeing the pitches, making adjustments.
24 of them with Baltimore. Top 10 in the American League. Fouls this one back, 1-2. Distribution of his balls in play. He's in the middle of the field more than anywhere else. One, two. Bottom falls out. Machado down on strikes. 1-2-3 inning for Williams on 10 pitches.
The first 40,000 fans will receive an Alex Wood bobblehead presented by Emirates. For tickets, visit Dodgers.com/promotions.
Wood back out there for the fourth. Gave up those 2 runs in the first, but nothing since. The offense coming alive to support him. Pretty good looking cut from a pitcher in Williams. It was 1 for 2 lifetime. One ball and 2 strikes. So the Matt Carpenter show has continued in Chicago, St. Louis. Doubleheader yesterday. Carpenter homered in both games and is now homered in 6 consecutive games. 8 home runs in that 6-game stretch. 2 balls and 2 strikes.
Does he win, what, 5 for 5 in El Bencho?
Yeah.
That one?
Friday night, 3 homers.
3 home runs.
He says there's a secret to what he's doing. It's not a secret anymore, but something he wouldn't think of.
Hit him over the wall?
Well, that's not secret.
It's not, okay.
Wood with a strikeout to open the inning. So he was really slumping earlier this season, like worst slump of his career. They're on a long road trip, come home from it, and he sees in his backyard he's got a new garden planted out there. Fruits, veggies. Adam Wainwright, of course the Cardinals pitcher, is an avid gardener, was on the disabled list and went over there and thought that he'd leave Matt a nice gift to come home to. Knew that he was struggling, do something for his buddy. Well, the fruits and veggies that Matt Carpenter's gotten from that garden, he's made into this salsa. Broxton to left. Chris Taylor. And for the first time, Matt Carpenter has started to travel a jar of that salsa with him, and he puts it on everything. And him traveling that salsa, eating with it on the road, has corresponded with this historic stretch where he's homered in 6 consecutive games.
If that's not marketing, I don't know what is.
So the secret's out, what's behind it, but it is still a secret what his recipe is. He said, I got to hold that in case I decide to sell it one day.
Yeah, well, decide to?
He should, yeah. I hope it's already printing labels. Spring one on Yelich.
Going to need a bigger garden.
What he would let on was that it's not too chunky, and it's pretty sweet. Fruit tones to it. 1-1. Puts it on everything. The obvious stuff like chips, eggs. Ground ball to second. Alex Wood has his first 1-2-3 inning of the game. He does it on 10 pitches here. To the 5th we go. LA is brought to you by your Southern California Toyota dealers. Now with easy summer savings, get a great deal on a bold new Toyota Camry. Top's been on all weekend. It's looked like this all weekend with the rain falling in Milwaukee. We've got the back windows open, so the ball has still flown pretty well. And it's watch Matt Kemp hit a pair of home runs on the way to this 6-2 lead for the Dodgers. Taylor Williams in the game pitching for Milwaukee with Brent Suter having left what looked like an arm injury. And Cody Bellinger up there for the first time today, taking ball 1. He's in for Justin Turner. Left after his RBI double in the second. On a 1-0 pitch, Bellinger check swings at foul. Matt Carpenter update today. He is 1 for 1, but it was a single, and it ended a run of 12 consecutive hits that went for extra bases.
Yeah,
must have run out of salsa.
Right at the bottom of the jar.
1-2.
It was still a hit, but
yeah. Lost his salsa, lost his power. He's a singles guy now. Sad salsa-less singles guy. Going upstairs with a 1-2, but Williams will step off and have Pena recycle the signs. Dodgers yet to see the Cardinals this year. We'll see Carpenter and the Cardinals a bunch over the last month and a half. A 1-2, ball 2. Bellinger corks one to right that sends Bronston back over his head and off the wall. Ricochets back towards the diamond, and it's a triple for Cody Bellinger to open the fifth.
Wow, looked like about a foot higher, and that ball goes out for him. And the ball, an off-speed pitch out in front just a little bit, but he also stays back with it. Doesn't that lower body, that lower half, doesn't spin off of the ball. It actually stays in his swing. So even though his timing was off a little bit on that off-speed, he has enough behind it. Flicks those arms and hands, barrels it up, and almost gets a home run.
Brings up Muncy, who chops the first pitch that he sees off of Braun and brings home Bellinger. Muncy can relate with the issues that Braun's having over there at first today. That has to feel good for Max, bringing home a run, and it's 7-2.
Well, it definitely makes you feel better when you're able to help them on the offensive side after making a mistake on the defense. That one eats up Ryan Braun. They give it an air. E1 on that, and unfortunately Muncy doesn't get the RBI for that because it was an error, but I think they still get it on that one because he would have scored anyway.
Yep.
Because he was breaking on that ball.
Now Kemp, who has homered twice today. Both of those against Brent Suter. He has won 3 home run game, and it came in this ballpark last April. Coming inside with a 1-0. Kemp lifts his hands on a strike. That's interesting. He's one of the best high velocity hitters in baseball. He's got a 2 home run day against the softest thrower in baseball.
So those 2 home runs, his adjustments, is the best were impressive. One, to know that a guy throws that soft but is effective at the top of the zone, gets one at the top of the zone, and then this next at bat, as they were throwing him a bunch of breaking balls, he makes an adjustment, stays on it, and drives it the other way.
Kemp with a bullet to left center, base hit. He's 3 for 3. Muncy hustling hard, winds up at third.
Well, after not liking the pitch on the inner half, pitch was called a strike. We looked at it on PitchCast and it was in, and they called it a strike. Well, doesn't like it. Well, now he looks in and brings the hands in nicely and gets a base hit. And Muncy did a great job on that ball. Good read as well. It's in front of him, but reading that he can go from first to third on that ball. It changes the bat for the hitter. For Kike, this should be a time where now he just shouldn't be looking to really try to hit out of the ballpark here. This is a matter of just looking for a pitch that he can get in the air because of the base running by Max Muncy.
Strike one.
And that's where good base running just helps out your hitters, helps out your teammates. It just changes your approach and your at bat. At least it should.
You've lamented that that is not as automatic of a thing in today's game, that it changes. Different situations dictate different approaches.
I think a lot of times, and not all the time, but a lot of times we see, I think, in today's game where sometimes you can just watch a guy like there's no difference in approach. It's the same swing, same approach, same swing for the fences, regardless of what the situation.
Hernandez ahead here.
And I mean that whether it's thinking about moving guys over or even when there's 2 strikes. We don't see as many adjustments just for a 2-strike approach. Seems it's the same swing, same approach, no matter what the count is.
2. I've heard some people talk about a 2-strike approach, that skill being the foundation for all situational hitting. And guys that have argued that should be one of the first things taught once guys become pros at the lower levels.
Absolutely. It's a great way to. It's not only just for situational hitting, but 2-strike approach is also great to minimize your slumps. You have one.
2-2. And the dirt, good stop by Pena. And Baltimore just kind of found him.
Because sometimes 2 strikes approach is you're going to stay shorter to the ball, thinking about getting whatever that stance is, whatever it is comfortable to you that you have confident that I could be able to make contact. I'm going to give up some power. May not be able to drive the ball in this, but that's not what I'm looking for. This is about protecting the plate and making contact. And when you're in a slump sometimes where you feel like you're just missing the ball all the time, sometimes it's great to start off with a 2-strike approach.
Hernandez takes inside ball 4 to load the bases. Derek Johnson, the Brewers pitching coach, comes out. Alana, you have an update on Justin Turner.
Joe, the Dodgers announcing officially that Justin Turner left the game after 2 2/3 innings with right groin tightness. Again, this is the same adductor issue that he's been dealing with since the middle of July. This is his first start since July 11th, but right groin tightness.
So it brings up the conversation again, Alana, and it's a tricky one, really, with no right answer. But when do you consider DLing him? At this point, you can't retroactive it because he played today. And the concern a few days ago when the question came up was, well, we don't think he needs a whole nother week. Even though you could retro it 3 days, we don't think that we need to be without him, Dave Roberts said, for another week. Be interesting to see if this changes that line of thinking at all. And at this point, though, it would have to be 10 days from today. They're loaded up for Logan Forsythe in a 7-2 game in the 5th. Strike 1.
And it wouldn't surprise me if he goes on the DL. It wouldn't surprise me if they just said, listen, we're making a decision. We just take care of it. Let's give you the 10 days to heal it. Not play a man down.
And that's one of those injuries that can linger, right? If you don't let it fully heal.
So it's one of those injuries that can be deceiving, where it feels good, feels like it's healed, and then one sudden movement.
Forsythe goes the other way with a base hit that brings home Muncy. RBI single Logan Forsythe, and it's 8-2. Logan's second hit today.
Now by Logan, we were talking about that in his last at bat. We were mentioning how they were playing him the pull. They were giving him that side. It was open, and sometimes when you're struggling in a slump, with the way they're positioning, the shifts that they're making, it can also help you just from a mindset and your approach. And okay, well, yeah, they're playing it now as a whole. I'm confident. I want to stay inside the ball anyway to get back on track. That was a really nice swing right there to go the other way.
Still nobody out. Barnes, who's 0 for 2, slashes the first pitch down the line. Broxton out of room.
What's really interesting is the way the Dodgers are able to get to Williams. He came in the other day, comes in and gives up 5 straight hits. And then they didn't have anybody warming up, and he was kind of out there, and they were able to get to him. But he comes in, and in that first inning, has 2 strikeouts, strikes out 2 out of 3. First inning looked like, all right, this is a different guy, not the same guy you saw the other night. Then, you know, the Dodgers here score a run, bases loaded, get him on the ropes. Haven't made an out yet.
So Jacob Barnes. Official word on Brent Suter, left forearm tightness. You do not like hearing that. Ball one. There are certain injuries that are indicators, right? So like with Clayton Kershaw in May, you heard biceps and immediately feared shoulder. Test showed that wasn't the case. But when you hear forearm, you think elbow. And you hope it's not the case for Suter. Big bouncer over third, and Austin Barnes, who's been hoping for something to break his way, watches it happen there. A 2-run single, and it's 10-2 in the 5th.
Another one of the Dodgers that's been struggling. And you're just looking for something good to happen. You're like, all right, you come up to the plate and it always seems to find you two in this situation. All right, bases loaded. Great, I'm struggling. How can I go out there and just do something to help? Well, that helped a lot. 2-run hit.
And a 10-2 lead. Still nobody out.
Well, on Wednesday, August 1st, when the Dodgers host the Brewers, all fans in attendance can purchase $1 Dodger Dogs. You heard it here, $1 Dodger Dogs. Buy up to 5 Dodger Dogs per person per transaction. Visit Dodgers.com/promotions.
Jacob Barnes into the game, and he has really struggled lately. His last 6 games, he's given up 10 runs. It's 10 runs in his last 6 innings. If there's a runners at the corners, nobody out situation. Already 4 in the bank as Alex Wood comes up, the beneficiary of all this support today.
I'm just thinking about the Dodger Dogs. $1 Dodger Dogs and Matt Carpenter's salsa on top of that.
Oh.
I'm just,
Everybody be hitting home runs.
Exactly. I'm just throwing it out there.
I like it. They got to have some kind of salsa promotion in St. Louis now, right?
Of course.
Wood squares and takes ball 2. Dodgers with their most runs already since July 2nd and that explosion against Pittsburgh. 10 runs on 12 hits, including 5 for extra bases. That's bunted in front of the plate. Pena to second. Throw to first, not in time. There's still no signal at second. I don't know if they're saying that his foot wasn't on the bat.
I didn't see a call, so I assume he's safe. Austin Barnes, stay right there, wait for it. I didn't see any call. I didn't see a call whether safe or out.
Me
Period.
either.
Did you? Maybe we just missed it.
Oh, he just gave it.
Right. Let's see. Well, he was ducking from the throw. Maybe it was after he ducked. He was there watching it. And that's a good look. He does get him. That's why the Dodgers aren't challenging it. But I'm just wondering, when was it called?
That was weird. We mentioned that he gave the signal eventually, but it was almost like he said, oh yeah, forgot, I got to do that, I got to put the fist up. So one gone at the corners for Taylor, who takes a ball. Chris is 1 for 3, 2-run single during the 5-run second. Chris has driven in 7 in his last 5 games. He's ahead here 2-0. Out of the way. There it is.
Okay.
Some deception in that delivery.
It was. Well, I mean, he was worried about his face first, which I can understand.
2-1. Well, we showed yesterday Chris Taylor kind of craning that neck a little bit after he was playing center and after a swing and a miss. Dave Roberts said before the game today hadn't heard anything about that Chris didn't bring it up, and expects him to get a day off at some point soon, but not serious enough for that day to be today. Nap time.
Good thing he's 1 for 3 with 2 RBIs. He had a big 2-out RBI in that second inning.
A full count. Taylor digs it out, sends it the other way. Broxton drifting back with room. He'll make the catch, but Forsythe will come in to score. RBI for Chris Taylor, and it's 11-2. Third run driven in today for Taylor. And for the second time in the first 5 innings of this game, they've batted around as Manny Machado strides up. Two for 3. Single in the first, double in the second. Now last year Manny Machado hit a career low 259. On base percentage was actually below league average. But Manny says that a big part of that was how often he was checking. He was looking at those stats and dug himself quite a hole because of that. So he committed to stop doing that and really just not pay any attention to the numbers this year. And he's put up his best numbers ever, though he doesn't know it.
You don't need to know it. You just need to feel it. How do you feel? Don't worry about the numbers. Worry about consistently keeping that good feeling when you're coming to the ballpark, that confidence when you step into the batter's box.
On a 1-1 pitch, Machado watches it miss. Good take, puts him ahead 2-1. Can't lay off that time. 2-2. Two home runs today for that man. Kemp, not Rich Hill.
Not Rich Hill?
No, he only has one. We'll do it again. Machado out of Miami. All baseball all the time for him growing up. He was 4 or 5 years old. Used to go outside every single day. Play catch with himself, throwing the ball off the wall by the side of his house. Robbing imaginary home runs over the fence. Barnes brings him a 2-2, and Machado strokes one that somehow Barnes stabs to end the inning. Well, look what I found. To finish the 5th, where the Dodgers get 5 halfway home, 11-2.
They head to Philadelphia for 3. Time now for the Wells Fargo look ahead. And after throwing out 3 left-handed starters in this series, they're going to see some righties as far as that's concerned. Ross Stripling will go up against right-hander Zach Eflin. Kenta Maeda, the right-hander, goes up against right-hander Aaron Nola. And then Dave Roberts telling us it's very probable that Wednesday's starter for the Dodgers will be right-hander Walker Buehler. He'll go up against Jake Arrieta, guys.
Okay, Alana. 11-2 in this one. Phillies have dealt with weather issues this weekend. They got a doubleheader going today against the Padres. Entered the day with a half-game lead on the Atlanta Braves in the division. It's Kane, Braun, and Shaw against Wood here in the 5th. Strike one. The native of Madison, Florida, Lorenzo Kane. It's in the Panhandle, just south of the Georgia border. Very small town, about 3,000 people. Lifts one into right center field. That's falling for a hit to open the 5th. So up comes Ryan Braun, the 2011 MVP, just barely beating out Matt Kemp for that honor. It was Braun that led the league in batting average and kept Matt Kemp from winning the Triple Crown that year. 39 home runs and 126 RBIs. What, 40 stolen bases? When Braun had the edge in OPS. A lot of people, even before the PED news came out on Braun, thought that Kemp had gotten robbed that season. It's kind of salt in the wound and affirmation for what those people thought. And Braun was found guilty.
I agree. I thought Matt should have won it anyway, regardless. I mean, it was a tremendous year. I mean, one home run from 40.
That's not a thing anymore. 40 seasons.
Yes.
Ground ball. Lunging at short. Machado, and he gets the out at second. How did he do that?
Ryan Braun did not get the memo. He did not get the memo, shaking his head because, that's an all-star shortstop out there. And Machado showing off the range once again. You know how I feel about those defensive metrics, Joe, anyway. And it's shown right there. We've seen it in this series. Doesn't matter. That he plays shortstop. He's got some range. He's got an arm.
Travis Shaw, ball one. There are guys that get to that ball. There are guys with that range. There aren't many guys ever that get to that ball and still can throw a line drive. We've seen it a couple times in his first weekend as a Dodger. Ranging into the hole, impressive in itself, but then snapping a throw with just a flick of the wrist with all of his momentum taken away from the throw. That's tapped over the mound. Machado's got it. We'll shovel to Forsythe. Route number 2. Ryan Braun in particular, he's ready to be done with Manny Machado for a few days. He's hit it hard all 3 times, but is 0 for 3 because Machado's gotten in the way all 3 times. 2 out for Saladino. It takes ball 1. I'd say he's ready for a break of just a few days because these 2 teams get together again a week from tomorrow. 4-game series at Dodger Stadium. 2-0.
See if Braun decides to go with an inside-out approach during that series.
Let's stay away
try
from
to go the other way.
Three and 1. Brewers offense mimicking the Dodgers offense from last night. Getting 2 in the first, squandering an opportunity for a bigger first inning, and then going silent after that. It's fly to right center field. Kike Hernandez and Matt Kemp. It'll be Kemp. And the 5th inning comes to an end with Alex Wood and the Dodgers in front by a bunch. 7 Dodgers have driven in a run today. Machado with another 2 hits. Turner with 1 before leaving with a strain to that adductor. Bellinger came on and tripled promptly. Matt Kemp with a 3-hit day, including 2 home runs. And the roof is opening up, Nomar, letting the sun in.
They already got Yelich out there going great because he's trying to go. Now the sun is. He's reaching up to see if he can block the sun.
It's Brett Phillips, new center fielder.
This is the shadows coming in. Yelich was over there and left going, oh, great, thanks, I think.
Yeah, I get a tan. I don't know if I can see the ball, but 11-2. A 5-run second and a 5-run 5th for the Dodgers. Here's Bellinger. Here's ball 1. Left-hander Dan Jennings. Tried to get him to chase. No luck. 2-0.
They haven't opened up the roof all the way yet. Don't they usually stop? Seems like they stop it once this inning starts. Or do they think they're just going to little light in here, little air, and then it's like rolling the window down, like get some air in the car and then roll it back up.
Yeah, I figure if you stopped it, it moves so slowly that if you stopped it when the inning started, it'd take all game to get it fully open.
Right. No, it's still going.
Yeah. Strike 1. This is when the ball really flies and the whole place is opened up. A walk to open the 6. So here's Muncy. 2 hits on Friday night, 0 for 7 since then, although did bring home a run with what was ruled an error his last time. Goes after the first pitch and singles into right. So now every Dodger position player has at least 1 hit today. Up comes Matt Kemp. 3 for 3 with a pair of home runs.
Well, up in the zone, pull the ball, drive it to left center field a long way. And then a ball in the outer half. Well, don't pull it. Go the other way. Show off your power to right center. And then he gets a single on a fastball in the inner half. His next at bat. All in a day's work for Matt Kemp.
Mentioned his last time up. He's looking for his 2nd career 3 home run game. First one came in this ballpark. It was last April when he was with the Braves. Two on, nobody out. Offensive explosion for the Dodgers today. Kemp swings and misses 0-2. Would have gotten a piece, but a strike either way. You talk about Lorenzo Cain not really playing baseball at all until he was partway through his high school career. Well, Matt Kemp didn't put his whole focus on baseball until he was a senior in high school. Because Matt was a star basketball player in Midwest City for the Bombers, Midwest City, Oklahoma. Averaged 20 points a game, won a couple state championships, had a little bit of Division I basketball interest. Said he decided he'd go the baseball route, get what money he could. He didn't have visions on doing what he's done, becoming a 3-time All-Star. Fly ball to center. And then new bright sunshine. Phillips has it. So Kemp retired for the first time today, 1 away in the 6th. Then here's Kike Hernandez. getting close. You talked Friday night about how you didn't see well in this ballpark because of the lighting. Did it totally change it then if the roof was open for you?
It definitely helped when the roof was open. But then you would also get some shadows here when you had a sunny day. There were times where, obviously a different time of the year, that you would really get them on a sunny day. And it's not with the roof just open in the shadows, but you would get a different shadow coming from the windows down the first baseline.
Other than 2. 72 degrees right now. It is a beautiful day. It was raining this morning, but bright blue above now. Omar's vision issues in this park aside, it really is a beautiful park, unique. Especially looking at it from the outside. You drive on the expressway outside the park. Not a huge skyline in Milwaukee, but then this park just springs up. Kind of majestic in the way that it sits. 2-2. When the Brewers are really good, this place rocks. Some moments in the first half where it was really bumping in here. They've lost 7 of their last 8. Falling to 2.5 back of the Cubs in the division. Hernandez with a ground ball to short. Saladino feeds Perez. He turns it to first for a double play. That does it for the Dodgers in the 6th. 11-2. Some of the defense from Manny Machado throughout his first weekend in Dodger blue.
Ranging far to his right, showing off the gun, going the opposite direction, and then this one right at him. I mean, he knew he had so much time because he has that rifle in his back pocket of an arm. I think his defense is okay. It's just fine. And he actually, right before we were breaking to him, he was running back in. We talked about how the roof was opening, and now all of a sudden shortstop, third base, center field, left field are in the sun, and he ran in to go get some sunglasses. And like, I didn't need these to start the game.
Different day over there now. Alex Wood pitches into the 6th inning. Hernan Perez takes ball 1. Now Machado started making himself into that Gold Glove fielder that he is. He's 8, 9 years old with his uncle Gio. Lived right across the street from Uncle Gio in Miami. And Gio would come home from work. Young Manny would be waiting outside the house for Gio to get home. They'd play catch for a little bit, and then they'd walk together to the park, the neighborhood ballpark, and work on fielding drills, but not your typical stand it short and I'll hit you ground balls. A little bit different than that. That's strike 2 and 2. So Gio would have young Manny stand with his back against the outfield fence and stand no more than 10-15 feet away and just pummel these line drives and hard ground balls at 8 and 9-year-old Manny. That's a pop up that will reach the seats, and it stays at 2 balls and 2 strikes. And Manny would often go home with bruises up and down his arms, but he said that drill is a big part of what has made him as good of a fielder as he is. It was catch it or it hits you, because if you get out of the way, Uncle Gio's going to end the drill and we're going to go home. We want to keep practicing. Perez the first out of the 6th. So that's one of the ways that he became who he is now. It's one of the game's great fielders. It's a very tight family that he's a part of. We mentioned Uncle Gio and Manny's mother and her father, so Manny's grandpa. The 3 of them kind of combined to raise Manny. Here's Pena with 1 out, swinging and missing for strike 1.
All the Uncle Gios out there right now are going, getting their bucket of balls, grabbing the fungo, grabbing. Get out there. Here we go. Catch this.
Against the wall, Uncle? Yep. 1-1. Yeah, Kike Hernandez grounded into that double play to finish last inning, and when he hit the bag, kind of jarred him. He came up wincing. A bit of a surprise, because you saw that in real time and we watched it on replay, but a bit of a surprise that he's still in the game based on his reaction here.
Yeah, right when he, watch him lunge for the bag right there, right when he hits it, but watch, he lifts that leg up like he did something to his right leg.
That's a strikeout for Wood. 2 up and 2 down in the 6th. Now you can't tell if he's in pain or it's just really sunny.
Right. But for, you hope he's okay. I mean, obviously he's out there, but you hope it's nothing really serious, especially now that we just got word about Justin Turner coming out of this game with that groin injury that he's been dealing with. You're going, you don't want 2 guys going down in this game, because we know how versatile and how important Kike Hernandez is to this team.
A broken bat, rolled along first, stays inside the line, and Bellinger's got it. Alex Wood, despite allowing those 2 runs in the first with a high pitch count, winds up going 6.
Mobile, and Chase Utley is going back to where it all began to say goodbye for the final time. Chase Utley announcing his retirement at Dodger Stadium just a few days ago, and certainly this series coming up against the Phillies had a lot to do with the timing of the announcement. Of course, Chase Utley beginning his major league career with the Philadelphia Phillies and ending it with the Los Angeles Dodgers, but what a career it has been. I'm sure the Phillies fans will be excited to send him off in a nice farewell, guys. 16 years in the league, and Chase Utley finally saying it's been enough. He wants to be a full-time dad.
All right, Alani, I can't wait to get to Philly and see the reception he gets. We got a position player pitching. Hernan Perez. He's not trying to fool anybody. Third time he's pitched as a big leaguer. Super utility man. That includes the ability to do this. I think he's throwing darts.
Went 52, 62, 67. Gaining the velocity, just getting loose, getting warmed up.
Right. 4-pitch walk to Forsythe. All you really ask of your position player when you put him in there is strikes, and you get 4 straight balls to open it. But in an 11-2 game, Craig Collins is saying, why burn anybody else down there? Here's Barnes. Strike 1.
11-2 in the 7th. Sometimes we see that maybe in the 8th or not 2 innings, but rarely do you see it going, okay, we're going to see 3 innings.
Ooh, that looked pretty good.
Thumbs up. That's my instinct as a hitter. Sorry, he was like up.
A pop up. What is this like as a hitter to face 55 and 60 mile per hour eephuses?
So you understand it, but as a hitter, you're really in almost like a no-win situation in a sense, because okay, if he gets you out, you're like, great, I got a position player, got me out, and he was throwing soft like that. As compared to, but if you hit it, you get a base hit, well, you're supposed to, right? Not a big deal.
Ooh, turned it up to 87. A blur, but it's outside, and it's 2-2. First and second.
I don't think Barnes had to rub it at all.
No, I think you're right. He in fact turned around to the home plate umpire and said, did that hit me? Wood will hit for himself here.
So I wonder if Perez struggles, who's the other position player that relieves him, right?
Yeah, who's the backup?
Right.
Jesus Aguilar hasn't been used today. Can I nominate him?
You can.
Well, then I do.
Want to come off the bench and pitch?
Wood took a good rip. Couldn't help but smile. Two and two. Pena couldn't hang on. Perez, this is his 3rd game pitching. Once last year, once this year. He's given up 1 hit. He's walked 1 and now 2 with the leadoff walk to Forsythe. He's not struck anybody out yet. Looking for the first of his career, and he's got it. I think it was the Phillies with Gabe Kapler this spring actually held position player pitching tryouts in some practices. Taylor waits on it, bangs it to right center. Phillips will flag it down. 2 out. Is that anything that you had seen before?
No, not as far as practice, but I can understand him. He's probably thinking ahead, like, listen, for games like this, you get in this situation, I may need position players. I want to know who can do it. I want to see guys go out there, and not a bad idea. Let these guys know too.
Machado 2 for 4. His hardest hit ball of the day was caught by the pitcher his last time. Bouncing ball to third that Shaw takes to the bag. Hernan Perez with a scoreless 7th. Baseball on Sportsnet LA is brought to you by Nissan. Choose Nissan today for great offers on our most exciting lineup ever. Shop ChooseNissan.com. Back in Milwaukee, where Caleb Ferguson takes the mound for the 7th and gets strike 1 on Keon Broxton. So Alex Wood winds up going 6 innings in this game, and Nomar gave up those 2 runs in the first inning. Brewers had the bases loaded, still just 1 out. was able to get the double play to limit the damage to 2, and in the 5 innings after that, no runs on only 2 hits.
Yeah, and in the second inning, he had a little bit of a stressful inning right after that, but then it seemed like he really found his command, the strike zone, and worked quick innings. The offense was putting some runs up on the board, was doing his job to get him back into the dugout to continue the momentum. It ended up being a good day for Alex Wood.
Hands it off to Ferguson, who makes quick work of Broxton. 1 out in the 7th. We look at the Dodger calendar, brought to you by Nissan. This 10-game road trip to open the second half continues to Philadelphia, where they play 3 with the Phillies starting tomorrow. Then it's on to Atlanta for a 4-game series with the Braves. Seeing the 2 teams at the top of the division, the National League East, with the Phillies a half game up on the Braves entering action today. Brad Miller to pinch hit. And then there's the Nationals. When will the Nationals get going? At a game below 500 still. 6.5 out of first. 6 games out of second. Are you still a believer in the Nationals, or is that hole getting too big too late?
There's still a lot of baseball left. So I think it'll be interesting to see what they may be doing at the trade deadline, if anything. I think they might do something to even just maybe to spark them or jumpstart them to play to the what. I don't think they're playing to their capabilities right now.
And their all-star reliever Sean Doolittle was placed on the DL today. And the initial idea is that it's going to be weeks that he'll be out. We mentioned it last night. It's one thing to track down one team from 6 back, but they're chasing 2 teams in the standings. Muncy, and the shift is waiting on that ground ball off of the bat of Miller. 2 out. 2 surprise teams, Phillies and the Braves, both a year ahead of schedule. Nate Orf came on and did a double switch earlier. The base is empty and 2 out. One and 0. For Caleb Ferguson, this is his 6th game out of the bullpen, and in his first 5 he's got a 1.38 ERA. Kind of out of the blue to make his major league debut as a starter in Pittsburgh in early June. Stuck around. Circumstances dictated that with the injuries, but at this point he's pitching his way to staying on that roster. It's a hot shot that Forsythe knocks down, and a 1-2-3 inning for Ferguson, sending us to the 8th.
All right, thanks, Joe. Through 7 innings, good bounce-back performance so far by the Dodgers. They try to take 2 out of 3 from the Brewers.
Every position player has a hit. At Kemp, 2 home runs, lots of highlights.
Yes, Alex Wood trying to win his 5th straight decision. We'll see you guys soon.
All right, guys. Dodgers trying to open this second half with a series win. And Perez back in there. Pitched a scoreless 7th. Working against Cody Bellinger to open the 8th. And you can take the position player out of his position, but you can't take, you know what I'm saying, right? I don't know exactly where I'm going, but he sprinted after that ball, not like a pitcher.
The instincts kicked in as an infielder, like that was all his.
Bellinger waits on it, strokes it to left. It is caught by Phillips. With 1 out, here's Muncy. Strike 1. Probably feels right at home. It's like getting home run derby tosses from Turner Ward.
See that off-speed pitch. I don't know, that was kind of like a breaking ball Perez threw, or just maybe change it. You see Muncy kind of stepped and then waited back, like recognized it before he swung. I'll tell you, the swing by Bellinger, he flew out to left field. I like that swing because he went throwing really hard, stayed inside it, and drove it the other way. You know, it's funny. It's one of those things. You're facing a position player not throwing really hard out there, just trying to throw strikes, get some out somehow. And it was a nice swing by Bellinger, something to keep in the back of his mind.
It's hard to go that way when it's 60 miles
That's
an hour.
exactly my reason why I like the way he stayed back on that and drove it the other way.
Bob Uecker. Fly ball to right center field. And it's carrying pretty well and off the wall. And we said when they open up the back windows and then the roof as well, that's when the ball gets maximum boost. And Muncy's got himself extra bases. It's a double.
Yeah. Buxton moved over from right then to center in this inning. Thought he had a beat on it, but off the wall. Nice double for Muncy.
Gets Kemp maybe one more opportunity here with his 2 home runs today, taking a strike. Did well against the soft tossing Suter. It's a whole nother level though of soft. In the air to left. Phillips sinking, but he caught it. 2 out.
Well, fans, you can relive the excitement of last year's World Series when the Dodgers host the Houston Astros August 3rd through the 5th. The weekend begins with Friday night fireworks presented by Denny's and then closes on Sunday with the Juniors Dodgers backpack giveaway presented by Haichu. Visit Dodgers.com/promotions.
Astros 66-35. Ball one on Kike Hernandez. That is not the best record in the American League, however. It's 3.5 games behind the Red Sox, who are 69-31 at the 100-game mark. Got the big 3 in the American League. What a race it's going to be over there. And what a desperate attempt it is to win the division in the East. There's a good chance you're going to have a 100-win team playing in the wild card game. Whichever between the Red Sox and the Yankees loses that division. Right now, the Red Sox with a 4.5-game lead. Two balls, 2 strikes. sidearm that thing in there. Saladino steps into his throw, and that ends the inning. Good to see Hernandez busting up that line, though, after we noticed him maybe tweaking the leg in his previous at-bat. Is brought to you by Jack in the Box. Try the $4.99 Jack Spicy Chicken Club combo with toasted sourdough. New from Jack in the Box. Turned into a nice day on the shores of Lake Michigan here in Milwaukee. Caleb Ferguson out there for his second inning of work, getting a fastball by Ryan Braun. Dodgers 5 in the second, 1 in the third, and 5 in the fifth. The 2 Brewers runs came in the first against Alex Wood, but that was it against him. On up going 6 innings. Continuing what has been very strong starting pitching for the Dodgers all month, and especially in this series. 18 innings for the starters. They've given up a total of 4 earned runs. Forsythe throws Braun out. And now you got Ferguson with a chance, if he were to finish this game, to get another sneaky save. Now you got a save in a 17-1 game on July 2nd because he pitched the final 3 innings. And has a chance to do the same here. Travis Shaw, strike 1. Major league record, Nomar, for the largest cushion when getting a save. Wes Littleton, Texas Rangers against the Baltimore Orioles in 2007, got a save in a 30-3 game.
What inning did he come in?
Last 3.
Last 3 as well. They didn't trust him for 4.
No, no, that's too tight. Too tight of a game. 2-1. Ferguson save in the 17-1 game matched the Dodger record. Ed Roebuck, the same thing in 1957.
30-3. I wonder how many position players threw in that one.
Seeing more and more position players pitch these days, just with how aggressive managers are with the bullpens.
And managers are always now looking to see if they can give their bullpen a day, they will find any way they can. Because we're not seeing too many complete games by starters anymore. Bullpens are becoming increasingly more valuable.
One on, one out. First base runner against Caleb Ferguson is on the Travis Shaw walk, and here's Saladino. 0-1. You know how many times a pitcher has gone through an order 4 times, 4 full times through the order this year?
That's rare as well. Maybe probably a handful of times, 5 times.
0.
Wow.
Last time it happened, Bartolo Colon, early August last year when he was with the Twins. It's happened 6 or fewer times each of the last 6 years that a pitcher has gone through the lineup 4 full times in a game. To give you a little more perspective on that, as recently as 2000, it happened 55 times in a season. Ferguson strikes out Saladino, 2 out in the 8th. As far as complete games go, in all of baseball this year, out of all the games played, 25. Which almost seems a little bit high.
I was about to say I didn't even think it was that high. This, especially when you talk about not even going 4 times through the lineup as well. And I get it, when you go through there, that means they're going through it. They're putting some hits in, putting some runs, but you still trust your pitcher to keep going out there and throwing.
Perez got a good hand walking up there, having thrown the 2 scoreless relief innings. Wouldn't be a surprise to see him out there for the 9th. Big bouncer, right side, dies in the grass. Forsythe's barehand throw, not in time.
Two scoreless innings under his belt and a base hit.
Like a true pitcher, an infield hit. Swinging punch.
Hey, this was a great effort by Logan Forsythe. It was a really nice play and not an easy play. And just a barehanded, but throw behind him as his momentum's going forward. Nice play, just too quick down the first base line.
Bunch of traffic for the Brewers in the first 2 innings against Wood. That's only their 2nd hit since the 2nd. Manny Pena, who is 0 for 3, takes ball 1. Strike 1. Underway in Phoenix, Diamondbacks lead the Rockies 1-0. Rockies have won 7 straight, 15 of 18. And they are in second at this point, not Arizona. Ferguson home with a 2-2, and Pena drives it down the line. Hernandez into a tight spot, makes the catch. Kike Hernandez with a nice play in short quarters to finish the 8th. game at 7 Eastern, 4 Los Angeles time. Ross Stripling with his first outing post All-Star break, taking on Zach Eflin, who will come back from the disabled list to start that game for Philadelphia. First of 3 between those teams. New position player, and he throws a knuckleball. This is Eric Kratz, who pitched at the end of June against Cincinnati and is on for the 2nd time this year. The closer among position players.
All these guys that are throwing, it's not like they haven't done it before. They all have pitching lines here. It's funny because in the notes they don't have them written down as in their bullpen. I'm surprised.
It's misleading.
Yes.
So 2 scoreless innings for Hernan Perez.
So you were talking about what's it like facing. Well, one thing is, okay, facing a position player, like I tell you how it feels like you're like in a no-win situation, and it's just different because we saw them not throwing quite as hard in Perez, but now you're going facing a position player throwing a knuckleball. Because other times when you're facing a knuckleball, and that just doesn't feel right or normal, obviously, because you don't see them too often. Now you're going to face a position player throwing a knuckleball.
Maybe a double negative will make a positive.
There you go.
1-1 on Forsythe, who's got his first multi-hit game today in more than a month. He's also reached on a walk. And he's ahead here 2-1. Ahead of the 38-year-old Eric Kratz. He's been in the majors for parts in 9 seasons as a backup catcher. There's the knuckleball. Backs Forsythe off the plate with it. 7 teams in his 9 years. Pittsburgh, Philly for 2/3 of his career. That's where most of the ABs have come. But he's also bounced from Toronto to Kansas City to Houston and the Yankees. He's never played in more than 68 games in a year. Just continue to find opportunities. Forsythe hits it hard past the diving Shaw for a leadoff single. A 3-hit game for Logan Forsythe. And now Barnes. Kratz is the guy we were talking about yesterday when he started at catcher. Was drafted in 2002. 29th rounder, the Toronto Blue Jays. It wasn't for another 8 years that he finally made it to the majors when he was 30. It's cute foul. 1-1 on Barnes. Now, those 8 seasons as a minor leaguer, at least by portion of his salary, minor league catcher was like his second job. The big thing that was pulling in the money was his offseason construction work. Knuckleball for a strike. 1-2. He was a bricklayer, some general contract work, some roofing, whatever it was that could help make ends meet for his young family. He strikes out Barnes for the first out of the 9th. 3rd career strikeout for Kratz.
I'm wondering, we hear about knuckleballers sometimes start off as position players. Like I know Tim Wakefield, who I played, one of the best knuckleballers. And he started out, he was a first baseman, and then was like messing around DP. I mean, playing catch out there, and then it was not quite as good as the hitters, I thought, and give it a shot. And unbelievable career.
That's what the people came for right there. Eric Kratz against Caleb Ferguson, and he gets Ferguson to bounce into a 1-6-3 double play. solo home runs.
And then added that with a nice base hit back in the 5th and scored another one. 3 runs, a couple of RBIs, couple of home runs. Great day for Matt Kemp.
Got to shut it down a little bit early with the Dodgers way out in front. 11-2. On the verge of taking this series to open a very difficult road trip against 3 playoff contending teams in Milwaukee and Philly and Atlanta. And extend it to the homestand that'll follow. And to the road trip after that. Each of the first 19 games in the second half for the Dodgers come against teams that have better records than they do.
We talked about it at the beginning of this series. That factored into them really pushing and trying to get Machado right out of the All-Star break, knowing this stretch that they are going to have right out of the break.
And in a tight division race, the games in mid-July mattered just as much as the games right before the deadline, or the games in September in the final days. And they have Machado for them. Not wasted any time contributing. Got 5 hits this weekend. He's reached in more than half of his plate appearances. And played some really nice defense. Caleb Ferguson to Brett Phillips. 1 ball and 2 strikes. You go from Milwaukee, who a lot of people think finished as the runner-up for Machado's services, to Philadelphia, who is another team that was in it right until the last moment, and also happens to be a destination that's been rumored to be very interested in signing Machado long-term. Of course, to be a free agent at the end of this year. 2-2. And neither the Dodgers nor Machado are going to talk about long-term at this point. They both talk about 2018 and focus on winning a World Series this year, figure out the free agent stuff after that. You went to Chicago midway through 2004 and wound up re-signing there. How much did your experience over your final 2 months shape your decision?
It definitely did. I mean, one, it's a great place. We all know that. Great fans, great city. But you only know one place. All I did was know one place your entire career. Then you go to somewhere new, and you don't know what to expect. And then you have just a great experience there. And then you become that free agent, and you're saying, well, why not sign back there? I really like it. I felt comfortable there. I felt good there. And I guarantee you that was also a factor in with them trying to trade for Machado. They know he's going to probably test the market, look at it, but I guarantee you the Dodgers front office probably think, well, maybe let him experience LA, not only to help us first of all this year win the World Series, but maybe long term, maybe he starts to feel comfortable. Maybe he likes LA. We know he's an East Coast guy. We know that out there in Florida, but let him really experience and get him the full experience on a regular basis, not just for a series to come out in LA, not for just a vacation, but to know what it's like to play here on a regular basis, because that's a whole lot different than you say flying him in the off season and try to court him there and talk about how good the place is, rather than him experiencing it and then hopefully win a World Series with the Dodgers. Say, I want to be a part of that again.
Ferguson strikes out Broxton, and the Brewers down to their final out. And yeah, you mentioned an East Coast guy, and the teams you typically hear Machado tied to are East Coast squads. He was born and raised in Miami, started his career in Baltimore. I think the 2 teams you hear the most about as far as long-term signing Manny Machado, Philadelphia and the Yankees. And if indeed that is how Manny feels, and none of us know how Manny feels, maybe this at least puts you in the conversation when that wouldn't have been the case before. It's all conjecture until we actually get to the point where Manny and his family decide. Brad Miller with 2 out. Quickly, no balls, 2 strikes. Caleb Ferguson's about to get his second save of this variety, pitching the final 3 innings of the game. A 1-2. And an 11-2 win for the Dodgers to take this series from the Brewers. A positive start to the second half.
Well, this was just a good team win. I mean, obviously it started off with Alex Wood struggling in that first inning, but only giving up 2 runs, managing that, and the offense picking him up. The offense up and down the lineup, guys swinging the bat today, doing a great job. And then Alex Wood settling in. Then he found the strike zone, found command, and they just finished it off, winning the series.
He went 6 innings. The Dodgers got those 11 runs on 15 hits. They go from Milwaukee to Philadelphia for Nomar and Alana and the rest of our crew. Joe Davis saying so long from Milwaukee. We'll talk to you from Citizens Bank Park tomorrow night.